I'm joined now by the chair of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, Lina Khan. Thanks so much for taking the time.
For having me.
So there's a big announcement coming out of the FTC that I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak on, and this is going to impact a lot of this country here. So floor is yours here.
The FTC just announced that we're finalizing a rule that will prohibit subscription tricks and traps. And what that means is that companies have to make it as easy to cancel a subscription as it is to sign up for one. They have to be very clear upfront about what are the actual terms of what you're getting into. I think, unfortunately, all too often people see that companies make it supremely easy to sign up for a service, but extraordinarily difficult to cancel. You're having to jump through all these hoops. You have to call somebody, but there's nobody there to pick up the phone, or they transfer you from one rep to the other, and then the call drops, and it can just feel like you're stuck in this doom loop. And the practical result is that people are wasting their time and their money paying for subscriptions that they no longer want. And we think that's wrong. We think it's unlawful, and that's why we're going forward with this rule.
And is it up to be challenged in the courts, or will it immediately take effect?
It's going to take effect around April of 2025.
Okay.
We got 16,000 comments from people across the country, individuals sharing their stories of having to jump through all of these crazy hoops and navigate a crazy bureaucracy. We also got comments from businesses and trade associations, and we took those seriously. But we think at the end of the day, this is on firm legal footing. And it's a really simple idea, which is that no American should be stuck paying for a service that they no longer want.
Now, if, for example, an administration were to take office that was hostile to this rule, is there anything that the executive branch could do to put it into jeopardy?
So look, different administrations have the ability to revisit rules and to upend rules, and we've seen that historically across administrations. Sometimes we do see those shifts where at one point an agency will adopt a rule and the next administration they'll undo it. So that's just a basic fact of life. But there are legal challenges to when you make those types of changes and switches. So it's not a slam dunk that you can just undo rules and everything will be okay and go back to the way it was.
And by the way, it would seem politically disadvantageous to try and overturn a rule as popular as this one. I mean, click to cancel is something that Americans have been vying for a long time. So to that exact point then, let's say, for example, the rule goes into effect in April of 2025, and there are still companies that you sign up with online, and when you try to cancel, you all of a sudden have to make a phone call to some department, and you try to call the department, and you're just sitting on hold. What happens? How do consumers seek some type of remedy in that instance?
Consumers can report it to us online through our complaint database. We regularly monitor those complaints and, where appropriate, take action and bring lawsuits against companies that are violating the law or violating rules. Once this rule is finalized, we'll be able to not just stop businesses from engaging in these tricks and traps, but we'll actually be able to apply penalties to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars against businesses that are still harming customers in this way. And so we believe that's going to have a deterrent effect as well and make sure that consumers are made whole. If you're being tricked out of your money or trapped into subscriptions and losing, hundreds or thousands of dollars, you deserve to be made whole.
And is this the only rule that you've overseen during your time at the FTC that kind of falls into this bucket?
So glad you asked that because we've actually been focused on a whole set of ways to make sure that our economy and our markets are fair and transparent and competitive, and that people are getting a fair shake. All too often people feel like they always have to be on guard and be looking around the corner to figure out, are they about to get ripped off or taken advantage of? And that's not right. And when it violates the law, we take action. So we finalized a rule that prohibits fake reviews online. These are practices when businesses will inflate their ratings or deceive people about testimonials or suppress negative reviews or pay people to write negative reviews reviews about competitors. We finalized a rule that eliminates and bans these types of fake review practices because people depend on online reviews, right? People determine what are they going to buy, what are they not going to buy. And so we banned these, and that's going to be good for customers as well as honest businesses. We've also finalized a rule that would prohibit impersonation of the government or legitimate businesses. Unfortunately, all too often we see that people are getting scammed by fraudsters that are calling up and pretending to be an IRS agent or somebody from the Social Security Administrator, scamming people out of thousands of dollars. And so we've also finalized a rule making that illegal. And we finalized a rule eliminating non-compete clauses across the economy. I mean, these are clauses that trap workers into jobs, prevent them from getting better opportunities, prevent people from launching their own businesses. It costs people real money and their economic freedom. And so we're really proud of all of these efforts.
Just one quick question on the scam calls from the IRS, because I know everybody watching has gotten some iteration of that call. I know that some people are going to hear that and say, well, if they're engaging in scam calls, they're clearly not worried about the ramifications of their actions because they're just, mostly overseas and mostly just trying to trick Americans out of their money for blatantly lying. There's the likelihood that they didn't already know that they were committing crimes is very low. So how do you enforce something where those perpetuating these activities already aren't moved by the fact that they're committing criminal activity?
It's a really important question. And practically, one big difference between when we do or don't have a rule is, can we make people pay up? And when we don't have a rule, unfortunately, all we can say is, hey, you have to stop defrauding people. But we
Yeah.
can't say you have to return the money that was defrauded. And also, we're going to fine you and charge a penalty. And so once we have a rule, it becomes much more real for businesses because they can't profit from their illegal behavior. And they actually have to turn over both the money that they unjustly got from people as well as pay a hefty fine. And so that can be a game changer, though I totally understand the frustration.
Do you have experience actually holding to account some of these foreign entities that are calling into the U.S. and scamming people, mostly older folks, seniors, out of their money by presenting themselves as IRS agents or Microsoft or Amazon or some of those companies?
Yeah, it's a good question. And you're right that when some of these entities are based abroad, it can make our work more challenging. But we do have all of these cooperation agreements with international enforcement partners. And so that can, in fact, allow us to crack down on some of these international enterprises as well.
And finally, let's finish off with this. I know that there has been a lot of attention on you for two reasons. One, the FTC under your leadership has engaged in a lot of this kind of pro-consumer activity, and just click to cancel is one more example of exactly that. Another reason that there's a lot of attention is that folks in the billionaire class or the pro-corporate sector of our economy have actually been vocally opposed to you, both as the FTC chair right now, but remaining in that position as well. What's your response to kind of the attention that you've gotten from these people who don't seem to be supportive of the work that you've done, the pro-consumer work that you've done at the FTC?
We're focused on doing our job, which means enforcing the law without fear or favor. And that's already delivered enormous benefits to the American public, be it in the amount of money that they're saving, be it in the amount of time that they're being saved by not having to deal with things like subscription traps, and be it in the way of restoring some dignity to the marketplace and restoring some real economic freedom. So this is incredibly important work, and we're not going to get dissuaded because, monopolists or executives associated monopolists just wants the anti-monopoly cops to go away. We're really focused on doing our jobs.
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing, and thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me.